All right, really good day. We got a chance to come down to the Dome, have a indoor practice down here, just again get acclimated to the Dome and put ourselves in some game situations. And so, a ton of really good work for our guys. We did similar stuff that we've been doing the last week or two, where there's some scripted with specific intent, and then we get into these call-it situations. And Charlie kicked a nice 58-yarder to win the game, and so it was fun to see.
What were a couple of the call-it sequence scenarios that y'all were working through today?
Just the call-it. It was just the end of game sequence where, the twos had the lead, and they were trying to hold off the ones, and the ones came back and tied it up. But then, Charlie kicked a 58-yarder, and so it's great for our guys. It's great to play all these situations because I think that's how games are played. You got to adjust into all these circumstances, understand what the situation is, and so it's been really good work.
Have you made any decisions about who might or might not be playing on Saturday yet?
Hasn't changed from yesterday. We'll get through today's. Our last big practice tomorrow will be kind of a quicker practice, like an in-season Friday, and then we'll give all these guys the direction of what their weekend's going to look like. But, we'll see how it all plays out.
Kellen, when you were running the RPOs with running backs, are they actually reading it? Or like, let's say with Alvin, or is he actually, no, I'm going to look like I'm riding the back and I'm just
There's just some, there's just some things out there that, they could do a number of things. So, I'm not going to get into that one.
Is that not wanting to answer?
That's a no answer.
What has Nathan Shepard done recently? That seemed like a spot that was kind of really, you rotated that spot early in camp, and seems like he's kind of locked it down recently. What have you seen from him?
Just consistency. He's obviously been a productive player in this league, and he's done a really good job of responding well through training camp. He's a really strong player, and he's got some ability to pass rush inside, which is obviously always valuable, especially in passing situations. And so he's done a lot of good things.
What have you thought of Kelvin Banks? Like, how has he grown? Because obviously he was very impressive in the preseason games. How did he get acclimated, and what's impressed you about his game?
Kelvin's just really steady, and when he makes a mistake, he gets over instantly and moves on to the next play. And I think you can see that his ability to respond, because things are going to happen. You're a left tackle out there. You're going to play a bunch of premier edge rushers in this league, and his ability to respond after something is really, really impressive. I thought, the first two preseason games were really clean. The Rams was an awesome exposure for him just because of what their D-line presents. They have some really premier players there, and so that was really good work for him, and he's just continuing to grow.
On Spencer's deep ball to Chris, did he see something there in terms of like before the snap that did it change anything, or like
was it the touchdown?
Yeah.
It was just a 2-minute operation, so he was in no huddle mode, so he was just communicating the play call, and good throw and catch by those guys.
Is going tempo after first down something that, what is the logic behind that?
There's some value to it. Tempo has value in certain situations throughout the game. I think a lot of it sometimes may be dictated on keeping them in a certain personnel group, continue to change the pace, play a little bit faster. And so there's a number of different ways. And we're just messing around with some tools this time of year for the next week or two, just exposing ourselves to some of the different tools inevitably that you're going to need as the regular season presents itself.
There's another one about Saturday. Do you know of will Spencer and Tyler play Saturday?
Yeah, the QBs will play.
Who's going to start?
When you're doing the tempo stuff, like, is there like a different language for like when you want to go like really fast? Like, are there like normal play calls, or like is it change at all?
Yeah, there's a few different tools. Tempo's got a lot of speeds to it, and so some go really fast, some are in between, some really we're slowing it down intentionally, and so there's a lot of different tools we're just trying to get our guys exposed to.
Christian Moore is a guy who's made the most of the reps. He's had a good preseason. He was in a crowded room. I mean, how's he done?
Yeah, I think just really steady, and when you've seen him in these preseason games, he's had impact plays, which has been awesome, and certainly his ability to rush in the Chargers game showed up. His ability a couple times in this last game, he was in the team meeting for his ability to kind of stay heavy in the run game and shed someone and make a play, and so he's just done a lot of good things. You can just see his growth being a younger guy in this league, getting more work in. You can just see him growing.
Can I kind of assist your kick return, punt return game?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of tools there, and it's just a matter of making those decisions as far as based off of what their roles are on offense and defense and some of those situations. But we feel like we got a lot of guys back there that can make impact plays.
Kellen, if Alontae Taylor is not available, who's the next position up? Like, who's the depth chart?
Yeah, there's a number of guys there. You guys saw Ugo go in there and hop in there, and he's played a lot of football. Certainly we have safeties who've played there. We've certainly got a number of other corners who've maybe played a little bit less there so far, but they certainly can easily slide in. And so we feel like the strength of our back end is their ability to be interchangeable in so many ways. We have a lot of really flexible players who can play a number of spots, and so I think it provides Brandon, those guys on the defensive side just to play a little chess game with those guys.
Is Quincy one of those guys? Is that?
Yeah, certainly. I think almost all of our guys, we see a path where they all have ability to play in a position flex role.
That was only his first day really kind of getting overly involved. With Devin Neal coming back from his injury, how do you feel about sort of the progress that he's shown so far?
Simply great to see him out there and continue to work. And, he's got really high football IQ, really high capacity for this game. He's got a great feel for it. And we're excited to see him just continue to grow and hopefully be in a position to do something on Saturday.
Were the reps that he got today, Devin Neal, because obviously he's missed some time and you want to see more of him as obviously, the season approaches and you got to cut maybe that room down a little bit more?
Yeah, there's certainly an evaluation that, we just want to give him as much exposure just so he's ready, just so he's ready to contribute in some capacity and so we can get a good evaluation for him.
And you don't know yet whether he'll be able to play Saturday?
No, we're still working through that, but obviously everything's trending in the right way.
Do you guys get good news on Bridgeway?
Yeah, I mean, he's walking around, and so, we'll just see ultimately the length of that thing. But, he's doing well, and obviously there's a recovery process that he's going to have to go through.
Kellen, you had week 3 with Philly, the Super Bowl, walkthrough, preseason game, and the practices here. Just kind of this cavernous building. It's the challenge to get, you never really get used to it, right? I mean, but you want to have much familiarity with this team as you can in this building.
I think that's the goal of this, is our guys get to come down here and spend a little bit of time, get back in the locker room again, go back out there, the way the lights, kind of play with certainly with receivers and DBs, the way they see the football, the way the depth of it, for kickers and punters and all that sort of stuff. I think there's just always value in putting yourself in your home and getting comfortable in it. Certainly it's a special place. I've been here a lot on the road, and you can recognize the challenge that it presents, and so we're all getting acclimated. This is going to be an important aspect to this being our home and be able to play really well here.
Kind of the turf as well. It's a new turf every year. It's different.
Yep.
It's just different.
Yeah, we talked about that. Obviously, one of the cool things is that they put a new turf down every year, and so you get the best product here. And so obviously there's a little bit of get some people on it just so that it gets a little bit used to it. But that's a great thing about this place.
Is there anything to read into Spencer getting consecutive days?
We're just rotating. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that was a good try.
What about the quarterback battle boiling down this late in the training camp and into the final preseason game?
Yeah, we'll be just fine. These guys have put in a ton of work. They've invested a lot into this thing. They've done a really nice job, and they put themselves in great positions. And so, we'll let this week play itself out, and then we'll move forward.
Is this kind of how you imagined it would be coming down to the wire, or did you think someone would have?
Again, I think our whole goal at the beginning was not to put a timeline on this thing. When it's ready, and we go. And so, we got patience on our side, and we'll be just fine.
Do you have to know by next week?
I think again, I think as next week shifts into the regular season, obviously we got to have a little bit more of a focus towards Arizona. That'll be starting to shift the objectives, but we'll see where we're at.
Tell us, I guess I tried to ask this yesterday. Corbin, what's the benefit? what's the benefit
of naming them? Just so you guys quit asking me questions, I guess. Yeah. Obviously, there's again, these guys have all earned these opportunities, and so I think it's exciting to let this process play itself out, and we'll be fine. We got plenty of time.
Softly as proposed.
No. No. No.
No.
We're not going to be one of those college teams that walks the guy out the first play and you guys get to know, so don't worry about that.
Do you think the players, watching film and all the meetings, that they know who should be the starter? mean, it could be 50-50, but
Everyone's got, I'm sure they're just like my kids. They all they all have their thoughts, but I think our group loves these guys, and it's an awesome group. I think we've talked about that from the beginning. Is these guys are competitive in every good way. Whether we're bowling, whether they're out golfing, eating dinner, whatever. There's just a competition component and a fun competition with these guys, and so that's what makes this room awesome. I think that's what makes quarterback rooms always great, no matter where you're at.
Do you imagine a scenario where they both might play, or do you have one?
I don't see that likely. I think it's important someone's going to be our starter, and we're going to rally behind that guy, and he's going to go lead our team.
In terms of prepping for Arizona, is that something like your advanced, like your coaches are like starting now? Like when that kind of?
There's some early acclimation period just to get used to some of the things and it's mostly just giving ourselves exposure to stuff that we may want early in the season. It's not just Arizona, it's San Francisco, it's Seattle, it's Buffalo. You kind of look at those first 4 games and say, hey, what are the tools we may want to utilize? Let's make sure we've talked about them before we get into. You'd hate to sit there in the middle of September and be introducing something for the first time, and so that's what a lot of this stuff is that maybe you guys have seen the last couple of weeks. Just giving ourselves tools. These guys hear it, they've seen it, they've done it at some point. And so now when it gets, kind of brought back to life for a game, it's not the first time.
When you started, what's the balance between keeping the competitive nature up between the two of them, but also creating enough space to where maybe somebody doesn't feel like they're getting locked down every moment ahead?
Yeah, we're not going to get into a bunch of that. I think, we're going to name a guy, and everyone's going to rally behind that guy, and that guy's the guy, and everyone's there to support him, and he's going to throw an interception at some point, and we're not going to have to look over his back, and he's the guy. And so everyone else has a really big-time opportunity to continue to develop. Again, this is a developmental opportunity for all these quarterbacks. They're all young. They're going to keep developing, and opportunities will present themselves for all these guys, and in some aspect down the line as well.
Has your time in the NFL, have you seen healthier situations of that compared to other sports? When a guy is looking over the shoulder, does that dynamic exist? Do you have to be careful to avoid that?
Yeah. I think that's the main point of this thing is just whoever our starters, we're rolling with that guy, and this isn't a check in with us every day, every week, all that sort of process. We're going to be in a really good spot, and that guy's going to go lead our group.